Hello there, welcome back to today's Strife's Talking Points, and I'm going to cover one main story. I'm going to do it in two parts on this one. The first one is, as you have to know, it's been everywhere today. There was a terrorist shooting. Approximately 49 people have been killed by a radical murderer.
It is clear that this can now only be described.
I'm going to shut the video off there, but there's definitely been a terrorist attack on two mosques in New Zealand. The area is known as Christchurch. I believe that's the city of Christchurch, and it is definitely one of New Zealand's darkest days, all of which come from this directly from the CNN article. This is a insane attack that happened, and apparently everything that has happened is after the effect is being played directly into what the perpetrator wanted. There is a manifesto. This was live streamed. It was run, I believe, through 8chan and a few other places have, of course, picked it up and ran with it. I will not put any of that in here because it is no murderer, serial killer, terrorist should become famous for what they've done. That is the fault of a lot of media. One of the things, our thoughts and prayers are with those who have been impacted today. Christchurch was the home for these victims. For many, this may not have been the place they were born. In fact, for many, New Zealand was not their choice. These were basically people leaving, well, generally what you see when you get a lot of this Islamic migration is they are getting out of Islamic countries due to generally the overall, like right now you've got a big thing with Syrian migrations, Kurds, Afghans, Yemenis. All of these nations are actually at war with themselves or with their neighbors, and you start to see these people break out. I haven't seen anything particular on where these Muslims came from, just that they were two mosques that were attacked. Again, this is a horrible thing, and in the U.S., one of the things we have a serious issue with is that immediately upon something horrible happens, it becomes the fault of other people. It has nothing to do with this man or his views or people directly related to him. It becomes the fault of anyone that you disagree with or you want to have political advantage of. This is Cory Booker, Senator Spartacus, very famous and who's now trying apparently to run for president. And here's his statement. I am sickened by the news coming out of New Zealand. This horrific terrorist attack targeting Muslims at prayer killed at least 49 people. The rising tide of white supremacy and Islamophobia around the globe must be met with our determination to work against hate. The rising tide of white supremacy. In the U.S., there is almost, this is basically a joke. White supremacy in the U.S. is a tiny, tiny minority of people, and they are not allowed to speak, go out in public. Anytime they have their voices heard, no one cares. It is completely meaningless. As far as Islamophobia isn't really a thing. In nations, Islam as a religion has hold of most of Africa, all of the Middle East, and multiple parts of Asia. It is a billion-plus religious group. That's a fact. It is, in context of religion, it is an Abrahamic religion, which falls directly in line with Christianity and Judaism, Jewish groups. This is pretty easy to look up. If you see it, that's what it is. And what the terrorist was trying to do was stir up people like Cory Booker to say stupid things about this, to make this fight real, to take it from New Zealand and spread it around the world. Now, in Cory Booker's thing, he has 2,500 retweets, 12,000 likes, and 456 comments. This thing is going out far and wide. Oh my gosh, it's really sad. Part of this, some people will agree with him. All right, sending love from the U.S. Simmer down, Spartacus. The false narrative you always quickly push to the and end up looking foolish later on. This person's manifesto actually says he wants people like Cory Booker to spread this message, to push it out, to stir the stokes of hate and violence. This guy here has a very interesting thing after Jussie Smollett alleges his attack. It's modern day lynching after the attack is proven to be a hoax. Let's wait for the facts to come in. If you can go and see this man's manifesto and see that he is trying to push this narrative that he wants you to say this, Cory Booker is going to be part of the narrative moving forward. While the vile nature of this sexual assault is not in question, what I do question is how outrage over alleged racially motivated attack to the subsequent willingness to consider new facts made Mr. Booker one of the biggest racists out there. Yeah. Islam is moving into most nations now and is looking for special privileges. They had those and they want it to be where you can't insult us. Where actually there's stuff in the U.S. right now about trying to force out any disparaging of Israel, not the religion, but the actual country. You see it in laws. I've watched a Vice News report on it, which I don't really believe a lot of what Vice News says, so I went and looked it up, and there was some truth to their statements. Yeah. Thank you. So many in America in the GOP do not realize this furthers ISIS and extremists who are not the inaudible RM and threatens all nations. Trump is fanning the flames and aiding and abetting them. It must be stopped. I don't know if people like Veronica there understand. The U.S. media is 24/7 attacking Trump for everything possible. There is no letdown to this story. It is nothing to do with him fanning the flames. It is just this sells. Outrage sells, and until people run out of the ability to have outrage, we're going to continue to see this. Given the shooter hated the conservatives and was a self-proclaimed enviro-fascist, I think you're pointing fingers at the GOP is pretty clearly a knee-jerk reaction with no basis in reality. Most people don't get this when they look into this stuff, but you have the extremist right, the neo-Nazis, the Klan, the whatever, the identitarian right, the far right, these extremists. They actually fall right in line with ideas that you find in the exact same group on the far left, with the identitarian left, intersectional groups. One and only one thing is different between them. One says being white is wonderful. One says being white is evil. That's it. As always, left-wing politicians and the media will rush to claim that the cause of today's shootings lie with gun laws or those who hold nationalist views. But this is all child cliche nonsense. The real cause of bloodshed on New Zealand streets today is the immigrant program, which allowed Muslim fanatics to migrate to New Zealand in the first place. This is his manifesto. He's telling you what's going on. Let us be clear. While Muslims may have been victims today, usually they are the perpetrators worldwide. Muslims are killing people in the name of their faith on an industrial scale. This is what this man said. He is going over what's going on. It's an 18-page thing, and Cory Booker and these people are playing directly into what he wanted. I feel very, very deeply for these people. We have shootings in the U.S. at an alarming rate. And this is just kind of the thing. going on right now. And this will be the first part of it, which is specifically directed to the story initially and to Cory Booker. And then in the U.S., we cannot have a terrible story without people spinning it and wanting it to be something more so that they can use it as a platform to change things. And here on my second story, I'm actually going to run through the first spin I've seen, and I've only been looking at this story for about an hour and a half. Thank you, and please comment, like, share the story. I'd like to know what you think about it as well.